Guys, welcome to the drawing stream. We're only 10 minutes late, so if you're joining today, welcome, and I'm glad you're here. And let me know if you could, if you can hear me okay, that would be helpful. And we'll go ahead and get started here. Still working on this same portrait that we've been working on for quite some time. And remember, if you've been watching the whole time, you may recall that what we're attempting to do is just fade out the entire drawing as we get closer to the bottom edge. So rather than have the same intensity in the value and color that we do up here, we're going to fade it out both in this direction and up here. Just a style choice that I wanted to try out this time. So if you're brand new to the channel, thank you for being there and for joining. If you're over on YouTube Live, be sure and subscribe to the channel. That way you get updates whenever we do go live or post a video. If you're on Facebook, welcome. And appreciate you being there as well. Hey, Harry, how are you? Harry's over in Scotland, joining us on Facebook Live. All right. Let me reconfigure something. There we go. Okay. I think last time we worked a lot on the nose. And I think I'm going to, well, you know what? Look at this. If my plan is to fade this out down here, then this is probably intense enough. And I think we'll leave that alone then. There's a couple of areas right in here that I noticed need filled in just a little bit right there. There we go. Okay. I think I'll go ahead and work on this area down here. Move that Herculaneum red color all the way down. Also, by way of reminder, we're working on Stonehenge paper, warm white, and so it's not just like this bright white. It's a very nice color to work on, especially for portraits. So helps to include some of the tones that you're already trying to incorporate in a skin palette, which I really love. All the colored papers that you can get in Stonehenge are just great papers. If you've not ever drawn on any of the colored papers, if you've only drawn on white, then I think they're worth checking out. Okay. Now, I want to start turning my attention to those lips. I'm going to go ahead and look for some of the darkest areas first. And then we'll fill in the middle values with a pink color, but I'm using a darker red right now. Now, remember, um, I've already created a value map, if you will, of everything that we've been drawing. So all of these layers that I'm putting on top, they've already got layers of pencil underneath. And that just helps to establish where the darks and the lights are. And I refer to it as a grisaille method. It's one way of describing it. It's a grisaille approach to the layering process in colored pencil. Um, there's other ways to describe it. And if you look up a traditional method of grisaille painting, then, you're not going to see the exact method that I use described there, but it's one way of thinking about it and one way to progress through the drawing process that it simplifies everything. It's one way to handle the values to make everything in the drawing process much simpler than it otherwise could be if I just went in there and I tried to figure out um, what my values were and the color was at the same time. And then I tried to build that up in every area that I'm drawing all at the same time. That can be done, yes, obviously. But this takes some of that mental work out of the process and makes it to where you only have to focus on primarily one thing at a time. So while I'm focusing on value and not color, then my mind can um, just narrow in on that one aspect, the value of the area that I'm trying to depict. Is it dark or is it light? How dark, how light in relationship to whatever else is surrounding it. And so that's what we're doing when we're using that grisaille method. Okay. Now I'm going to put down that pink or that violet color. And now I just want to stain the paper a little bit in that area. Now I'm going to remove that. There we go. So I'll grab that dark red again. Come back in the same area. Now I want to extend this color past the lip. I'd rather create the value separation or the separation in the lips and the rest of the mouth with value. I'd rather it not be this hard edge that's created by color and or value, but I'd rather that the colors kind of get pushed together and then there's a separation in more of the value. So in other words, I don't want a hard edge. I don't want this outline on the lips. Not for what I'm doing and what I'm trying to um, depict here on this particular drawing. Using the kneaded eraser to remove some of the areas that start to get uneven in the application on the paper. So if I don't remove it early on, then it could be something that I'm constantly fighting with later on. Okay. Now you see after we remove that, I hope I'm zoomed in enough where you can see that. The application now of that layer of pencil goes on quite smoothly. All right. Wrap some of that red color over here on the left hand side. That's the way I'm looking at it. That, there's a little bit of reflection on that lower lip, but it doesn't happen until you get close to the little pinnacle in that curve on the lower lip. So as the lip starts to recess, right there in the middle, that center line of the mouth where the lips meet is going to be darker. So as the bottom lip moves in towards that connection there with the top lip, then it's going to be darker. And it's a gradient. It's a graduation of color and value that happens. So I want to be able to show that. And the best way to do it, the obvious way, is to create the highlight right here in the middle of that bottom lip. And then to slowly add more of a dark value as the bottom lip gets closer to that top lip, as it meets the top lip right there in the middle. Went a little too dark, it looks like, in one spot there with my Caput Mortem, or whatever it was I was using for my dark value there. It is a little dark. There we go. Hopefully that'll be better. We'll find out here. Yeah, that's it. That removed enough to where we're able to make that a little lighter. Okay. Now, that bottom lip is always going to be slightly lighter in value than the top lip. Hey, Laura, how are you? Thanks for joining. She's over there on Facebook Live, joining from Colombia. Nice for you to join us today. So if anyone's out there on YouTube, live, if you could let me know I would appreciate it. If I don't hear from anybody, it makes me think that maybe the audio isn't working out there. So stranger things have happened. Okay. I want to embrace a little bit of that unevenness on the dark values and light values right there on the texture of the bottom lip. Okay, thanks, Laura. Um, Appreciate that. If and you're on Facebook, if anyone is on YouTube and can tell me if the audio over on YouTube is working, that would be wonderful. Um, I always get worried if I don't hear from anybody, and it makes me think maybe the audio may not be working over there, and or video, but I think the video is working. I can kind of tell that pretty easily. Otherwise, I got to stop what I'm doing, go over there, check it out, and see. Okay, coming back in here now with hibiscus pink. I think this is, yeah, hibiscus pink. So we were using anthraquinone carmine, so for that red color, in the new luminance pencils. Thank you, Harry. All right. So are you guys also watching on YouTube or just Facebook? Just curious if on YouTube it's working. Okay. Now, if I use this hibiscus pink down here in the bottom lip, then I want to use it on the top lip as well, just to make sure that I've got uh, an even distribution of the color palette. That would make sense, right? I don't want to use a different palette on the bottom lip than I do on the top lip. Wouldn't make much sense, right? Okay. So I've got a little bit of a darker value right over here, looks like. So I'm going to grab Caput Mortem Violet for that dark value. And I think I may do that with some of these creases in the lips as well. There's a darker value right over here. Make sure that I get that placed over here, and that it constantly gets darker over here. Oh, thank you, Bonnie. That's so nice of you. And congratulations on your acceptance into the CPSA International Exhibition, Bonnie. That's so exciting. Very well deserved. Such a beautiful piece. Okay. What a nice surprise having Bonnie come out here. Bonnie's over on Facebook Live. So Bonnie and I spoke. Um, it's been it's been I don't know, months ago now, I guess, right, Bonnie? And her podcast interview that we did remains one of the top downloads in my podcast on the Colored Pencil podcast. In the directory there, when I look at the stats, it's just huge. So I love that. The things that she shared on there. If you haven't listened to it, you should really go back and do that. But it was just really cool because obviously Bonnie has a big influence, and I love it. Okay. Hmm. Not sure I like that. Let's see. I'm gonna go out this way a little bit and over here and square this up just a little bit more than what I've got. Hey, Lisa. Good morning. How are you? Thanks for joining. Appreciate you being here. Okay. Now I need a little bit of a. I want a little bit too dark over here, but a little bit of a lighter value here. We've got some light hitting over in that direction just a little bit. So I want to be able to show that. Now, see, if I hadn't used a very light touch when I applied that, I would have had some problems. Oh yeah, very true, Lisa. Yes, Bonnie. Bonnie is great. Okay. She's got this little bit of a pucker right there. So I need this center right here to be just a little bit darker, especially on this right hand side. That will help with that value separation there in the center versus the bottom lip. And right up here. Sometimes if you get stuck and you look back at it and it's not looking quite right, one of the best things to do often is take a fresh approach and follow just the values and then look at your X and Y axis. Where does this line up for the rest of the features? And and also look at the pay attention to the curves that you're seeing. Working on the Alessandra portrait still, huh, Lisa? Very cool. Well, I'd love to see it when you want to show it. It'd be great. Okay, That's a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to leave it, and we will come back to it later on. Before I do, though, let me add a little bit more right in here. Lisa Hammerstein tried to order that TV portrait set. Oh, yeah, trying to get the Karen Dosh portrait set. Yeah, I think you're going to love it. If you like doing portraits, it's just such a good set of pencils. Very much so. All right. Add a little tiny bit more right there. That darker value. Now I can come back in here with that hibiscus pink. Okay. Oh, Lisa, you're saying they're hard to get. I didn't know that. That's too bad. I guess maybe I ordered them at the right time or something. I didn't have any trouble getting them, and in fact, I need to place an order and get a few more. There's some that I've used a lot of, and I need to replace. I'm going to add a little more of the hibiscus pink, more than I should over here, and then I'm going to erase it just to stain the paper in this area just a little bit and kind of help to prime the paper a little. All right, and now I'm going to tap with my sticky putty or my kneaded eraser and remove some of that. This is a highlight right there, so I'm going to move beyond that area, make it darker, slightly darker. Very subtle, though. Make it darker beyond that area. So as it wraps its way around over here, we're coming out of a shadow right there. I do want that shadow to be a little bit darker than what it is. When you're putting your initial layer down for the Grisaille method, you're not putting down the full intensity of that value or the full range of that value everywhere. You're only suggesting a little bit of it. And then you're coming back and making it either darker in the areas where you're dark or lighter in the areas where you're light. Because sometimes you'll go ahead and use a dark color over in a light area just to show a little bit of the curve. And sometimes you'll use it when you start filling in the rest of the values everywhere. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll come back to that area and you'll decide, okay, that's too dark in the light area. I'm going to get rid of it. Or you'll look in the dark areas, shadows, and you may determine that it needs to be even darker. And most of the time, that's the case. For me, most of the time, I'm increasing those dark values in the shadows. So that initial layer that we use for the Grisaille method it's just that. It's just a way to establish the value range. It's not the full intensity of how dark or how light all of those values are going to be. But it's getting a placement down, it's getting a roadmap in place and some structure in place for progressing through the piece, working on making those values more accurate as you move through the piece. Okay. Come back in here one more time. I'm using um, I'm using burnt ochre 10% right now. It's a very, very light value. Okay. Now, take a look here. I can add a little bit of a darker value right here in this corner. Now we are in the highlight side of the face, right? So I don't want it to be real dark, but I do want to make sure that it is a smooth transition here. So I'm going to use cinnamon. I'm using cinnamon in Polychromos. Now I'll just move this value down, extend that gradation right here. And then I want to do the same thing on the other side. Move it up just a little. Now that mouth is a recessed area right there where the lips are. On the corners of the mouth, that's also a slightly recessed area. Now, why does that matter to me as the artist? Matters because that's where I'm going to have a slight gradient. I'm going to show some gradations in those values. So I want to pay attention to that, and I want to make sure that I depict that. Now, it's subtle. It's not something that is just screaming at us, right? Not like the pupil. The pupil demands that it be, black or very, very dark. But this little gradation right here by the mouth, yeah, I could skip it, right? I could leave it off if I wanted to. But it just adds a little something if we put it in there. Okay. Now that I've got that on here, and then I want to erase a little bit of it as I get close to that corner, just to show that little bit of, highlight right there. So, by way of reminder, if you guys want to follow along and download this reference, it's available over on my website. And the full version um, of the photo, if you're interested in that, is over in Monthly Sharpener inside Member Circle. So if you would like to grab that, that's where that is. Okay. Hey Jan, thanks for joining. Jan is over there on Facebook Live. And Colleen, thanks for joining. So Colleen, you left me a message here. Let's see here. You have to watch later. Oh, it's 12:40 a.m. Whoa, in Australia. Yeah, it's the middle of the night practically for me. Um, oh, you like this sharpener? I really love it. It's the AFMAT sharpener. It's so good. And let's see here. What else are you saying? Doing a pet portrait in colored pencil on the Mutants Touch paper. I've used that Touch paper before. It's interesting. It's different. Very different. Um, what the grade? There's only one grade, I believe, Colleen, on that Touch paper. I'm trying to counteract the grain. Yeah. You're using OMS, you said, on the first couple of layers to push the pencil into the paper. Subsequent layers are looking pretty good, but not perfect. I love your work and your knowledge. Thank you so much. Oh, it's so nice of you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Such a nice compliment. Um, very cool. Yeah. I have to tell you, I was struggling with that surface, to be honest. The Metance Touch paper. So you have to let me know what you think. By the time you're done, you'll have an opinion on it, I'm sure. Very cool. Well, thanks for stopping by here. Appreciate it. Add a little bit more of this color right in here. Okay. We must have had something go wrong with with the YouTube connection, I guess. I don't know, because I've not seen anybody commenting from over on YouTube. So, all right, Colleen. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, and good night, I guess. Okay. So this week's podcast. Oh, I should mention that last week's podcast that came out on last Monday was before I mentioned this week's um, was with the co-founder of Legion Paper. His name is Michael Ginsberg, and so um, if you've not seen that particular interview or heard that particular interview yet, then I highly recommend it. Michael is an entertaining guy. He's very knowledgeable, and he has his own YouTube channel as well. And I recommend it also. It's called For the Love of Art, and he interviews artists, and it's really fascinating uh, across all kinds of different mediums as well. So be sure and check that out. But take a look at episode 311 of the Color Pencil Podcast, and you'll get to see or hear that interview with Michael. If you are a member circle over there in Monthly Sharpener, then of course you'll get to see the video as well, the unedited, ad free version of the podcast on video. But this week's podcast is on art show rejection. So that's a very timely topic right now. And that was a lot of fun recording that one. Oh, thank you, Harry. So you can hear me over there on YouTube. Good deal. Appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. I'm getting a little bit dark on those lips. I just want to take a look at it. And showing up so much more red on my monitor than it is in real life. I really need to go back through and do a monitor calibration again. Just really calibrate everything. Okay. I think what I'll do is I want that to be a little bit lighter. I grab my Polychromos ivory pencils and I'm gonna work on these lips just a little bit more for our remaining time here. So I'm using this pale color, nearly white. I'm gonna be able to push this back in a lighter direction when I do. Now, really, this kind of shows off some of the nice properties of this Stonehenge paper. Now, you hear a lot of people talk about, you can't change the color and the value on Stonehenge paper. But you actually can. Hey, Samia, thanks for joining us over there on Facebook. Good to see you out here. Yeah, you actually can, though, change the color and the value on Stonehenge. It takes a little more effort, perhaps. I mean, depending on your drawing technique, but it can be done. And so I think that's a huge feat, major accomplishment to be able to do that on paper, on a cotton paper. So here we go. Now I need an incredibly sharp pencil when I do that. I had my lead break. Sometimes that happens. Okay. Oh, very cool, Samia. Yeah, I didn't know you were using Stonehenge currently, or maybe I did and I forgot. All right. A little bit lighter right over here. Nice thing about limiting your palette and using burnishing, pressing really hard and to the point flattening out the tooth of the paper. That's what burnishing means. Doesn't mean using solvent, but using burnishing, what that can do is you can use the same pencils that you've been using throughout the entire piece, and you have you've just slightly modified some of the colors. So if you have something like a lip that is dark in one area and lighter in another, then it becomes an easier task of showing a range of that same hue. So the particular pink and red combination that you have on the lips can be modified from dark to a light, all within the same area, just by using a lighter pencil, pushing it in one spot over in a lighter direction. Same thing is true when you use a darker pencil in the same on the same area. It has the same color. So I think that is a great way to have a realistic, a representational um, look to your piece when you're doing that. When you're using a limited range of colors and you're using that burnishing technique, you're just pressing hard um, for the point, not the point of just pressing hard, but to the point that, or because you're wanting to show that this particular color is lighter now in this area over here, or that same color or hue is darker now in this same area, in the same area like the lips. And that's one way to accomplish it. So rather than saying, okay, I wonder what that color would look like way over here if it's darker. Let me see. Let me go to my huge chart over here and find which color, would look the closest to whatever this particular lip color I have is now when it's darker or when it's lighter. I hope I've explained that well enough, but um, yeah, it's just something that makes it simpler on you as the artist. Okay, I'm quasi sort of happy with the way the lips look right now. Not really, but a little bit happier. So I'll have to take a look at them again. Um, so that's fine. Okay, just want to look around for a moment. Yeah, I think I'm okay with the progress that we made um, this morning. Wish we could have made a little more progress, but that's all right. We're getting there. It's a slow go, right? But that's just the way it goes. Um, if you guys have any questions before I leave this morning, then by all means ask your question. Boy, I waited too long, and this coffee is cold. I keep forgetting I have a warmer also that I sometimes use if I don't put my coffee into a a Yeti. Um, but I forget to turn it on. I forget to use it. All right. So again, go check out. Go back over here to my top camera here. Yeah, go check out the podcast if you've not seen it yet. There's also a bonus video over there in Member Circle, part of Monthly Sharpener. And I know some of you have already seen this, but so Barb Sodiropoulos and I, we talk about the winners of the 2021 annual CPSA exhibition. And we go through and show those and give our opinion on some of the winners there. So if you would like to check that out, that's over there as well. It was a lot of fun just recording that. It was just first impressions video, is what it was. We were collaborating, talking about it together, and so we flipped on the cameras and just started recording. And so that's over there inside Member Circle, um, as well as that video podcast for episode 312, Art Show Rejection. And there's a corresponding article that Barb Sotiropoulos wrote over on her blog about art shows and rejection. So that's all available right there on the podcast show notes, sharpenedartist.com/podcast/312. All right, guys, a lot of fun hanging out this morning. Talk to you soon, and have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.